Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Nathan Knott podcast. We're delighted to be joined by another manager. It's Luke Garrard. Managed at Boreham for about 5 years now. Played there for a long time as well. Started at Tottenham youth system as well and played in the Football League as well. So Luke, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Not too bad. Just struggling a little bit. So it's been a long time since we're out. But how have you been coping in lockdown?
Loving it. I've got to be honest. I don't know how many managers listen to it, but I can imagine I'm similar to a lot of managers. In the season, you're gearing up to winning games of football, and your focus is very much 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. And you can't really enjoy a win. So even though you won on a Saturday, your mind always focuses on the midweek or the Saturday. And in the off season, you're very much wheeling and dealing and on the phone constantly, whether you're on holiday abroad with the family, your phone don't stop. So I'm currently in a period where now the pressure's off slightly on the first team. Obviously, heavily still involved with the academy side, which has been a plus because we're doing a lot of remote learning, which is engaging me with regards to tactical stuff and analysis stuff. So, yeah, different, but I have to say I am enjoying my time. I've got a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful kids that I probably don't have enough time to spend with. So, yeah, in the current climate, I'd say I'm enjoying it because I probably have a lot more time with my family. But we all know, fundamentally, we want it all to find a vaccine to start with, and let's all get back watching and playing and getting involved in football again.
And in terms of your football, as Nathan said, you started at Tottenham. How did it come around you was going to be a footballer?
I started at Arsenal. So before
Right.
Tottenham, at Arsenal. So obviously you do your school stuff, you play in your school, then you go to the district, and then you get involved with sort of your county. I played at all of them levels. I was 9. I played in the Predator Cup, and it was like a school cup. And you had to, it was nationally. So you had to obviously compete with your local schools. And if you won that sort of region and you went into sort of your southern, then we went into an all county competition, Predator Cup. And Steve Leonard, who was at Arsenal at the time, I still believe he's still there. He's still heavily involved with the academy there. And he obviously give you a card, a scout card. So he gave it to my parents. And then from then on, I went to Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal man, so I love Arsenal. So I had the luxury of playing for them for 4 years was immense. And then I left there. It was a little bit, they were starting up a new school program called Hines Park, where they were combining sort of your training and your education. So I was under 12, under 13 at the time, and they were going to start doing that where over in Walthamstow, they'd combine your education and your football, where you train in the morning, train in the afternoon, train in the evening. So the contact time as a 12, 13-year-old was immense. And they pulled it and they delayed it by a year. And obviously I had my heart set on it. And I just said to my mum and dad, I don't want to do it no more. And out of that, I give up for, say, 2-3 months. And then, funny enough, my dad got a call from Mickey Hazard at Tottenham. And he said, look, I've heard that Luke's left. Does he want to come down for a trial? And to this day now, I don't have any training kits. So I know you're sitting there in an Adidas top. I don't have anything. The only kit I had available was my Arsenal training kit. I turned up to Tottenham. He said wear white and blue. So with Arsenal, you had 2 kits. You had red, and white, and the second kit was white, blue, and white. So I turned up in white, blue, and white as he told me to. I was in the Arsenal press. So I done okay because they signed me off the back of it. I had 3 good years there. Paul Parker, great coach. Jimmy Neighbour, superb. John Moncur, Mickey Hazard, all very, very good coaches. All played the game at a very, very good level. So I started off school, went into District Middlesex, and obviously got the luxury of going to Arsenal and Tottenham. And then didn't manage to get a scholarship there, and then moved on to Swindon from then.
Was it tough leaving Tottenham at such a young age, not getting that scholarship, as you said?
So what it was, they said to me, so the year before I turned under 16, I was an under 15, they said to me they're not going to renew my contract. And we went to Italy for a tournament. And I said to me, I'm going to go, Dad, I'm going to enjoy it. But listen, I know I ain't getting a deal come the end of it. And I just want to go there because I love the lads, good group. And I still talk to 3 or 4 of them now. And I thought, no, I'm going to go there. I'm going to enjoy it. And we had our heart set on it because my mum and dad booked on. All the parents all got on, and they all thought they'll go up for a few drinks while the lads are obviously professional in what they do with a tournament. So I knew I wasn't getting a deal. And then we played against Inter Milan, and I played right wing, and I was outstanding. And then I got smashed by their left back, and I thought nothing of it. So I carried on, and I thought, I can't do this. But up into that, I think it was like 60-minute games, up to 50 minutes. And honestly, I'm not one to blow it. I was outstanding, and all the hierarchy were there. And I've come off, and I said, I took my boot off, and my boots rolled up. So they've taken me to hospital. I broke my foot, and off the back of that, they've given me another year, only because John Kerr was there, Jimmy Neighbour were there. So Jimmy Neighbour was the under-18s manager, John Kerr was the academy manager, and they obviously haven't had the interaction or contact with me and seen me. And obviously for that 50 minutes, I must have done something right. Or the fact that I've broken my foot, and they're thinking, let's give a kid another year. It's going to cost us nothing. Let's get him in. But yeah, so I wasn't going to sign. They signed me on an additional year. So in fairness, I got released twice. So I got released as an under-15 to an extent, obviously got an additional year. But I was never quick. I was never tactically, technical. I was good. But I never had, listen, as I've grown older, you need Premiership pace. If you're going to play in the Premiership, you need Premiership pace. I don't care, because you see all the athletes, you see the lads that can run. They've got superb running gait, they're athletic, they get around the park and they're quick. I was never that. I was a very much a well-drilled, well-rounded centre-half, not the biggest at the time. So I didn't begrudge him letting me go in any way, shape or form. I did then said to me, Dad, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if this is for me. So I went local to a Sunday team called Cop Fosters, which is local to me. I just played with my mates for 3 months. And when you're at sort of the Premiership teams, they do exit trials down at Bisham Abbey. So I went to Bisham Abbey and again played centre half. I'm vocal. I don't know if you've seen me on the side as a manager. I'm very much vocal. I get involved in everything. I've been that since I was 10, 11. So even if when I was trialling at the district in the Middlesex at the time, they'd hear me. So even if I misplaced the pass, I'd be going left shoulder, right shoulder, Matt. I'd talk. So straight away when I'm at the exit trials, I'm communicating. Come back, I had Everton, Villa and Swindon that come in. Another load of teams, but I only went to Everton, I went to Villa, and it was good. They wanted to invite me in for pre-season, both of them, with regards to coming back, but I didn't have anything concrete. Then I went to Swindon, and it's an hour and 20 minutes up the road. It's not too far. I love my family. I'm close with I was close with my parents then, so I didn't want to go to sort of Villa. I would have loved to have gone there if they had offered me a contract. Don't get me wrong, but it was more come back pre-season and see if you can get a deal. And I didn't really want that, so Swindon offered me a 3-year scholar. And I went there, and it was enjoyable. I loved my time at Swindon thoroughly.
So if you could do anything different at Tottenham, would you have done anything different?
I don't think, unless I could have. Can you improve your pace? Of course you can. Of course you can. Can you improve, find margins and get sort of a yard quicker? I think the game now has evolved with all the additional stuff you can do with all the sports scientists and all them bits. It wasn't that when I was at Arsenal and Tottenham. The coaching was good. The calibre of coaching was good. So I don't think I would have done anything different. I'd be lying if I said I would, because fundamentally, I could play. I had a decent right foot, decent left foot. I had a footballing brain. My knowledge was good. But when you're at that elite level, you need to be the best. And I wasn't the best. Fact. Couple of lads that went in there. Neil Kilkenny at Arsenal had a very good career. Sam Ogie had a very good career at Arsenal. Michael Jordan, the boy was at Edsfleet as Macca's goalkeeping coach. He had a good career. At Tottenham, you'd say Danny Foster the year above, Marcel Mackay the year above, Mario Noto went on to Reading, my year Owen Price, Michael Malcolm. So I think you have to be the elite of the elite. And I'm honest. If you listen to my interviews on a Saturday, if we was poor, I tell you we were poor. If we were good, I tell you we were good. I weren't good enough. So I didn't begrudge the fact that I didn't get a deal at Tottenham. I'm appreciative of my time there and the memories that I had, but I can't say I'd change anything, lads. I have to be honest.
You went to Swindon and you made your league debut against Oldham. What was it like, obviously, going from sort of youth team football to being thrown in against Oldham?
So people sort of my age now would know about sort of the reserve football. When, for me, 23s football is sterile. Why? Being that I watch a lot of the Arsenal games, I watch a lot of the Watford games because they host in and around where we are, and there isn't tackles, there isn't headers. So for me, going from youth team football, obviously I played Swindon under-18s, done the FA Youth Cup, but we used to play in a reserve league called the Pontins League. And it was all the sides in and around us at the time, the Torquays, the Yeovils, the Exeters, Bristol City, Bristol Rovers. But on a Saturday, if you was in the squad, so in my first year, if the squad of 15 would travel with the first team, the 5 subs would be thrown into the reserves on the Tuesday. And if you got the call up to the reserves on the Tuesday, it was a privilege, because fundamentally, if it was at home, the gaffer would sit in the stand and you had an opportunity to impress him. So the difference between that, it was a nice sort of continuation from youth to reserves, then being thrown into the first team. Yeah, the level's outstanding. Like I said, I was lucky. Andy Gurney got injured. So Steve Jenkins, who was the right back at the time, who played for Wales, I believe, bumped inside to centre half. And he was 36. I think Gurney was about 34, 35, so very experienced. And I was the next in line. And my debut actually made against Oldham, I played centre midfield. But I played a lot of my games at Swindon at right back. So that come about away at Sheffield Wednesday, away at Leeds in the Carling Cup. It was, there was some big teams away at Bradford in Valley Parade against Dean Winders. So, different level. And obviously, as a manager now, I appreciate Andy King, God bless him, the pressure he was in under. And 3 points means a lot. And no disrespect to these 23s managers, trust me, I have utmost respect for them and what they do within their programs. But they lose a game, it's not end of the world. Whereas when we was at Swindon, if we're trying to get promotion or playoffs and you lose a game, it's the be all and end all. So for me, the transition was very much about developing as a youth team player, developing as a reserve player, and then when you get into that first team environment, at all costs you need to win.
And when I was searching you up about your playing career, I'm not sure how accurate these stats are, but it says you only made 17 appearances for the first team in your 3 years. If that was the case, was it disappointing to not make so many first team appearances?
I remember I played Brentford away from home, so I played slightly more than that, and I went on a run, and we went to Brentford, and I think they were 5th at the time, and we were 7th, and we needed to get in that top 5. And I played against John Solarco. Probably you guys probably wouldn't know him. And I played against Dion Burton, and they caused me havoc, absolute havoc. And I remember the gaffer Andy King come in, and they had used to drink tea at the time. Alan Reeves, Gurney, they used to pour a cup of tea at half time and then dunk some biscuits as they're doing it. Proper old school. And the kettle, as I walked in, I sat at Griffin Park, and he's walked in, Kingy, and he's picked up the kettle and he launched it. It's just been boiled, launched it above my head, and now it's hit the wall and it's burning me. And he went, "You will never play for this team again." And it was like my whole world collapsed. I went and played another further 6 to 8 games after that. But yeah, it was gutting. It was a good club, a real good club. In my first year, I made a sprinkle of handful of appearances, I think 4 to 5. Then in the second year, I hit double figures, 10, 12. Then I think I hit in and around the 18, 19 mark my third year. But it was very much, I didn't do enough, I don't think. And that's not, I was a home bird. So every opportunity I could, I'd want to go home on a Tuesday night. And not being on a Wednesday, I didn't do enough. And I look at that now and I tell the academy boys now, trust me, when I'm telling you this, I've been you guys. put as much in as possible so that you can never look at yourself in the eye and go, I didn't try. And I don't think I did enough. And for me, do I think I had all the tools to play at that level? I do. I believe I do. It's not as frantic. It's not as mobile. It's not as quick as sort of the elite of the Prem. But I didn't do enough. I didn't do enough at my craft. And that's saying that. Do I begrudge that? Probably not, because I probably wouldn't be sitting with yourselves now talking about being a manager at Boreham Football Club, because maybe I might have had a different career being a footballer and not being at the opportunities that I've currently had at the minute. But yeah, you live and learn, lads. You live and learn.
You left Swindon. Was it sort of expected that you weren't going to be kept on?
They offered me a contract, and I declined the offer. My mother got terminally ill when I was 16. So yeah, did it kick me offline? No, because I think I could use it as an excuse. It's not an excuse. It was just I wanted to get closer to home. I got a new girlfriend who's currently my wife. So I've been with her now 17 years, and I can imagine when you're young, all you want to do, all my friends would want to be me. And that's not being pig-headed in any way, shape or form. You're walking out at Sheffield Wednesday in front of 15,000. You're going to Ellen Road and there's 30,000. You're then going up on a bank holiday Monday playing against Bradford in front of 14,000. But I wanted to be them. And I know it sounds funny. I wanted to. There was 5 of us really close, and them 4 were obviously in each other's pockets every day. And I wanted to know what was going on. So I probably used it as an excuse to come home. And do I regret it? I would say yes, but then I probably wouldn't have my 2 beautiful kids. I've got to temper that to an extent. But like I say, the youth's wasted on the young. And for me, what could have been, who knows? I'm currently quite happy with sort of the plan that's played out as we speak.
Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, when you did decide to leave, again, when I was searching you up, between 2005 and 2006, it said you were at 3 or 4 clubs. I think Boreham Wood was one, Bishop Stortford, Northwood, and Wimbledon. Was it difficult to settle in, go into different clubs so quickly?
So I went to Boreham Wood after I've made 50 appearances for Swindon in League One, and I'm talking I remember it in the year that I got dropped. I went in the squad. We went to Brighton. We lost out in a playoff semi-final. So we were effectively going to be going to Wembley. So it wasn't a year where I was playing and we were, say, second bottom, and we was playing in a team that was failing. So I was playing at a good level, week in, week out. I had a run of 8 to 10 games as an 18-year-old, which is, again, not a bad return. So then go to Boreham Wood. I made my debut, set up 2 on my debut, and then the week later, played against Ilford, and I was on the bench. And it was like, I've just been at Ellen Road, I've been at Hillsborough, I've been at Valley Parade, now at Ilford, and I can't even get on the bench. And then from that, I thought, no, you know what? I need to go and get some games. So I went on loan to Northwood, and I was, again, I just turned 19 at the time, and I think I played 4 or 5 games, and they just bought into me. I was robust. I am what I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and he gave me the armband, and I was a 19-year-old, and it was the other end of the table. So we were fighting relegation, and every game was massive, and it was important to get 3 points. So was it a culture shock? No, because I don't think I've been brought up like that. Like I said, I went from Arsenal to Tottenham, who were probably the pinnacle of the academies in North London, to go to Swindon. So you could say you had sort of a harsh lesson there, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I loved my time in the short spell at Bishop Stortford and Boreham Wood, and then obviously the short spell at Northwood. And then for whatever reason, I got courted by AFC Wimbledon, and I had 6 unbelievable seasons at AFC Wimbledon. And for me, I signed a contract at AFC on less money than I was originally on, because when we're playing in front of 5,500, and you're seeing a team that's on the up, I wanted to be a part of it.
Obviously, you mentioned signing for Wimbledon. What was it like? Obviously, Wimbledon are a massive club. Obviously, in sort of 7th tier they were. What was it like, obviously, signing for Wimbledon in that time?
Yeah, I know it sounds funny. When I turned up and went to sign my contract, have a conversation initially, and that sounds really funny, the smelling of the burgers. the onions, the program. And no disrespect, it's like a fanzine sort of. There was people outside already. It must have been 1,500 people there, and it was about 1:15, and they was all having a beer. And I'm walking around. They ain't got a clue who I am because I'm a newbie, but I'm going there to have a conversation with the manager then. And I thought, this is a proper club. It's a proper club. And then he sat me down. He said, "Where you at? Where do you see yourself?" And I said, "Look, what about you?" And he goes, "I'm going to put you on the bench." I said, "I ain't signed a contract." He goes, "You will." So I signed a deal. Named me. I know at the time now I wasn't on the team sheet, obviously, because you can't turn it around that quick. But I sat there and there's 5,000 bummed the crowd, and I thought, wow, I'm at a proper club. And obviously we was in the Ryman then, but considering I was at Northwood the week before going to rugby playing in front of 200, probably half a year before that I was at Ellen Road playing in front of 28,000. But it was nice to get back to a family-run club. I still have so many friends from that squad, and I've got to be honest. I'm looking at me 1 to 11, and 4 of them are in me 11 because of what we achieved. So yeah, it was good, big club, properly run in terms of the way they've got fans involved because of obviously what happened with MK Dons. But again, I've got massive respect for that football club. Love them dearly.
And I believe in your first season for Wimbledon, you got the Young Player of the Season. How did that feel?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Like I signed my first year. I'm going to say midway through, and was sort of being embedded into a team that were quite successful. We got to the playoff semi-final that year and played Fisher. And we didn't win, but Fisher, anyone knows that team. Ahmed Barr, Leroy Griffiths, I think Kieran Murta was there, who I'm currently the manager of. So they had a strong team. And to get Young Player the following year, we had some good players, some good young players as well. So to top them, yeah, it's a nice accolade to have. So, yeah, very happy.
What was it like, obviously, getting promotion the next season and winning your first promotion as a player?
So I remember when Terry Brown came in with Stuart Cash, and everyone was obviously uncertain to whether anyone was getting kept on, because no disrespect to AFC then, I don't know the budget, but for me, it wasn't about the money. I was travelling halfway across London to be a part of a train to go to a destination that I honestly believe that club could go to. So he said, "Where are you at?" I said, "Look, Brownie, I'm this and this. I've been playing centre midfielder, but I played in the league as a right back." And it was like as if to go, okay, so you got a couple of strings to your bow. That year, we were doing really well, and we just fell short in terms of into the playoffs. And then we played AFC Hornchurch in the semi, and then we went to Staines, who, to be fair, for 60 minutes, absolutely battered us. But they had then played 10 games, and I think in a 24-day period, because they had a backlog of games. And you see after 60 minutes, they hit a brick wall, and you could hear us lot going, "Come on, lads, we got to go again." And fortunately for us, we scored a goal that shouldn't have been given. Should not have been given. It's a free kick on James Courtnidge, who was a goalkeeping coach at Boreham, who've got a great relationship with. And then we get a free kick, I think 81 on the clock. We try and take a quick one. They break. The ref brings it back, and on the retake, he bends it in the top bin. So you've got to get luck. And I think we were very lucky that year to get promoted. I've been promoted 6 times in my career. It's the best way to go through the playoffs for sure, because you're gearing up for that one game, all that hard work, and obviously the celebrations after were magnificent.
And then if we jump forward a little bit, when you've got over 100 appearances for Wimbledon, and I believe you became a fan favourite, and then you've got an injury during training which kept you out for the rest of the season. How tough was that?
I've never been injured, so I can imagine a lot of players. There's never a player playing 100% fit. Never. I don't care who you are. You fit now. I'm about 90%. Oh, so you're good then. So I think you have niggles. I've had little niggles. I've been out, say, for a broken foot, but that's 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and you can still do a program. I went up with Andy Little and I went up with Ben Judge, and I've gone in training. I've headed it clear, and I've landed, and I thought, I ain't right. So I've carried on, and then I've gone to Bassy, I've got to go in. So I've gone in, and I'm a week in, and he's saying it's okay, but bone bruising. And then he said, I may be a little bit of meniscus, being the physio at AFC. I was at the time working with my brother on the removal. So I'm literally lugging sofas into the back of the truck. I'm jumping down the back. I'm running upstairs. I'm thinking it's meniscus. And then 3 weeks down, I said, Mike, something ain't right here. And he's done a structural sort of test. And I've jumped off the bed. I've gone up to Waterloo, and they've gone, he's done it. And I've come out and I've said, look, this is my profession. Where are we at with it? And he went, you've got a complete tear of the ACL. And I have to say, for the first time, it hurt, really hurt, because I was doing really well at the time. I had a great working relationship with my right-hand side. It was Elliot Godfrey, played a diamond at the time in the National South. We were going good guns. I was in a team that was progressing, and I couldn't see us not continuing the work we were doing. And it was gutting. Within 3 days, we got the results. And then within half hour, I got a phone call from the manager. We want to offer you a new 2-year deal. So as a manager now, what Brownie did was outstanding. And what the club did was outstanding. And that's why I say, for me, AFC Wimbledon, brilliant. Love my time there. 6 seasons there. They paid for my operation, which was like the M&S of operations. It weren't your Audis or Lidls. It was your top range. So, yeah, utmost respect for them. It was gutting, but they knew what... I was always the guy. I used to nick sweets from Jason Goodliffe. He used to put them on the side. I used to nick them off the thing, and he used to look round as if to say, I was that guy. I'd nick the tactics board magnet. So Brownie would do a tactics thing, and then he'd see there's only 9 on there. So they knew I was that cheerleader. So they wanted me involved. So after my op, I had 6 weeks off, but I was back in the fold. So as much as I wasn't playing and being a part of it and being in the 11, I was a massive part of the gearing up, the cheerleading during, and afterwards the celebrations. I was a massive part of it. So I think Brownie's management, the club's sort of intuition to get me involved was spot on, and I thoroughly enjoyed that year. Even though I played 25 games, I think, in that season. Didn't finish the season, but I was there at Hampton when we won it. I was there down at Bromley when they scored that shocking goal, which everyone knows about, when he should have kicked it back to our goalkeeper. But yeah, I felt that I played a part on that side.
What was it like? Obviously, you weren't playing, but what was it like being a part of that group that got promotion from the National League South?
So every Christmas we go for a Don's drink, and I say 12, 14 of us go there every year. Haswell, Goody, Bassy, Judgy, Andy Little, Maney, Keds. I'm probably doing Godders. So the togetherness of that group is outstanding. And that was a massive reason to why we were successful, and why, again, a large cohort of that group then kicked on into the National League and had a success in there. So, yeah, it was a different beast at AFC. You used to get involved with the fans. You used to have beers with them. It was non-league, as non-league should be in the National South and the Ryman Prem. I think it's a different beast when you go up to the National Prem, because now you're looking at it and going, you've got to be professional. And I think we lost our way slightly because of that. And then the club went full time, and I think they haven't looked back since. So, yeah, the work that Brownie's put into that. Dave Anderson prior to Terry Brown was fantastic. Terry Brown, Neil Ardley to then go and do what he's done. Yeah, they've been fantastic for that football club.
And then after a lack of appearances and regular football, you requested that you got some regular football. As a result, they sent you out on loan to Boreham Wood. Did you think it was the right time to go?
So initially, I played the first game against Luton. I played the first 6 to 8 in the National League, and I felt all right. Felt good. Felt really good. Then he brought in, it was me and Jay Conroy initially, and then Sammy Hatton, who's a centre midfielder, started going ahead of me. And I thought, look, I'm never going to be one to knock on a door and say, Gaffer, I should be playing. And I was like, look, Brownie, what's going on? He goes, look, I see you and Jay Conroy. I see Sammy Hatton as our number one. I said, not a problem. I said, there's no point having 3 of us here. I said, I want to go out and play. He said, okay, I'll circular. So put me on a circular. So that means obviously my name goes out there. Anyone has a fighter. Hayes and Yedding at the time, who were in the National League, wanted to take me. AFC were in the top half. Hayes and Yedding were just, I think, in the middle of the bottom half. And you're still going around the country. You're still going up to the north. And there was still part-time. So it wasn't in like a full-time model. And I was working at Boreham at the time, being the academy coach. And I thought it was just a perfect fit. I needed to play after my ACL. I needed to go and get games under my belt. So, yeah, listen, I think it was the perfect fit. I think it was an opportunity for me to go and play regular football. And, yeah, thoroughly enjoyed my time on loan. And then initially, then obviously to then go and sign permanent.
Is it right that you won promotion that year on loan?
We did. We got promoted. So we were about 14th. And I'm not saying any reason why we went up. It was literally the last 12 games. We went on an unbelievable run. Mad run. I think we conceded 3 goals. And we just kept winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. We got that last spot. And I think we finished 4th. So low, finished 4th. And played Kingstonian in the in the final. Went down to Averley. Went down to Averley in the semi at their place. They were 3rd at the time. I think Kingstonian finished 2nd. No, Sutton finished 2nd, sorry. Averley 3rd, us 4th, and Kingstonian 5th. And we went to Averley, and they had a striker that was on point. And to be fair, they had us up for a good half hour, 45 minutes. And my good mate, Mario Noto, I see it so clearly. Now, they've gone through with about 10, 15 to play. They think the goalkeeper, and he's gone and cleared it off the line. So if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been promoted, in my opinion. And then we go and beat Averley, and we're assuming we're going to Sutton because Sutton had a good team that year, and they were the team above us, and we thought we're going to Sutton. Lo and behold, Kingstonian beat them. And they had a good team. Christian Jolly, I remember playing against him, and he was just getting the move to AFC Wimbledon. And I won't say what I said to him on the pitch because I knew that the deal had already been done, but I was that type of player. I don't care. 90 minutes, it's me against you, and I'm going to make sure that you ain't beating me. So I had done everything in my power to get in his head. And, yeah, Dwayne Clark has scored an absolute worldie from 35 yards out. And then Ryan Moran has scored a header. We win it 2-0. And for a club like Boreham Wood, where we are now, fantastic. But the initial achievement to get into National South was massive, was huge.
And then, obviously, you said the summer after they made the deal permanent. And then I believe you was bottom at Christmas, but you actually stayed up comfortably. How was that season?
So the first year in the National South, like every year, you're finding your feet. And it's tough. It is tough. I wasn't involved with the coaching side that year. I was still obviously playing quite heavily. And you're getting accustomed to new grounds, new management styles, new players, new sort of shape changes, and the environment. So, yeah, we found our feet, thankfully. The loan market helped us out. The chairman's relationships with certain other clubs, managers and chairmen, enabled us to sign 3 or 4 that aided us staying in the level.
And after a few sort of solid years in the National League South, you became obviously, as you mentioned, a player coach. What was it? Was it exciting? Obviously, getting that coaching role, obviously doing it with Darren McMahon, who we spoke to on here as well.
Yeah, listen, me and Macca obviously worked with the academy together, and then Macca got the initial job before me. And I was like, if he's successful, I'm successful. I didn't begrudge him at all. Me and Macca are great mates. Done badges with him and love him. So when he got the call, I was there 7-8 years prior to him. Not in any way, shape or form did I begrudge it, because I knew the work he did. I knew the knowledge he had. And as a friend, as a loyal sort of colleague to Boreham Wood, I knew if he's successful, I'll be successful. So prior to that, we worked heavily, and it sort of changed the mindset of the club in terms of the first team, especially with regards to the sessions that were put on. Then he went on to Eastleigh, then I got the gig. It was tough. If you're a player assistant manager, you're trying to, and I was playing still, quite heavily still playing, so you're trying to maintain your fitness and also deliver a session that everyone buys into. So that was probably hard juggling. And not only that, on a Saturday, you have to perform. Because if you don't perform, well, you're only playing because you're the assistant manager. So you got to temper that with a lot of factors. But again, the best job in football for me is the assistant manager by a country mile, because you can run with the horses and chase with the hounds, because one bit you can be under the gaffer's wing going, yeah, get that. The next bit you can be going, look, I'll talk to the gaffer, but you can have that relationship with both parties. Whereas when you're the manager, it's very much you. Players and the coaching staff get on with what they get on with. So, yeah, loved my time under Ian. Again, fantastic manager. Learned loads off Ian. His man management skills is fantastic. So, yeah, lucky that the chairman gave me that opportunity initially, and also Ian Allinson giving myself and Mario Noto the reins to sort of deliver sessions and the idea that he wanted to sort of put in place.
And then in your final season as playing with Boreham Wood, you came second in the National League South, and then you won the playoffs and got up to the National League. Where would you rank that achievement?
We're going to touch on it. My best day on football is Sutton by a country mile, without even thinking. I have to say, it's in and around it. And there's a picture just outside my wall here, outside my room here. I've got all my shirts on my stairwell down my house, and I've got my Swindon ones, the AFC Wimbledon ones, and I've got a Boreham Wood one. And there's a picture of me, Ian Allinson, and Mario Noto just embracing. It was like all that effort, all that hard work finally paid off. And when you think you go from the Ryman to the National South, it's unbelievable achievement. And you're never going to get out of the National South, because the National Prem is like the pinnacle of football. You get into the Prem. So, yeah, that year was immense. To beat, again, to do it in the manner we done it. Back then it was a semi-final, 2 legs. So we went to Havant initially, went 2-0 up, and probably that was our best performance of the season. And then bought them at home and drew 2 also. We won 4-2 in the evening. And then playing Whitehawk, who had the manager that's currently at Dartford, Steve King. And I'm going to say an unbelievable team. Jake Robinson, Danny Mills, Osei Sankofa, Paul Kissick, Sam Deering. They were outstanding. So I look at them and go, the personnel they had to their disposal was fantastic. And we managed to beat them 2-1. So I don't know much or remember much about the evening. But, yeah, again, another achievement in terms of getting into the National Prem.
And obviously, you went up to the conference, and similar as like you were in the Conference South, you struggled a little bit, and Ian Ellison left, and then you took on the reins as manager. How big of a step up of you? You're only 30 at the time. I think the stat was you were the youngest manager in the top 5 English leagues. Did you feel pressure, or were you just excited to be manager?
I was young. I remember the conversation so clearly. It was after Macclesfield, and the chairman rang me and said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "I'm ready." Being a 30-year-old flash know-it-all. And I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready at all. And I'm just thankful that we stayed in the league, because a lot of people will tell you your first job could be your last job. Fact. And if I failed in not keeping the team in the National League, I'd be an assistant manager somewhere, because I honestly believe someone would take me on as an assistant manager. At what level, I don't know. But as a manager, I don't think I would have got as many plaudits. So staying up that league, when you said Whitehawk, for me, that goes above the Whitehawk achievement, because we've got a podcast coming out on Friday with myself, Ben Nunn, James Russell and Callum Reynolds. And I've done obviously some homework, as would you do, on the squad we had. And I looked at that squad and I thought, an achievement to stay in the level, let alone finishing where we finished. So it was horrible. It's again, managers will tell you, there is pressure staying at the top. Of course there is, 100%. But it's a good pressure. A pressure to go and get 3 points to stay top, to stay second, to stay third. When there's 3 points on the table to stay in the level, it's suffocating.
And obviously, you stayed up that season. I think it was a great escape because you won sort of 3 games near the end of that season. What was it like, obviously, staying up? Obviously, a lot of pressure to stay in the league. What did it feel like, obviously, to stay in the league in your first season in the conference?
Like I said, in regards to achievements, I'm going to say that's in my top 3. We didn't put back-to-back wins on the board all season. So then we go to Chester, who was a 6-pointer. We draw 2-2. Score late, so you think, okay, not bad. You haven't lost points. We then go to Halifax, and we're 2-0 down. I bring Danny Haynes off, who was from your mob, Edsfleet, after 28 minutes because I just don't think he's pulling his weight. Then I'm at half time. He's probably, look, boys, I'm showing you everything here because for me, we are going out the level. If we don't have a bit of fight, we're done. We then come back to 2-2, and then we concede in the 93rd minute. And I think, okay, the results go for us. So we've chalked off a game, but we're still 20th, so we're just out of it. And then we go and play Southport, who again was a 6-pointer. On the Saturday, we lose 2-0. And for me, it's like, we ain't even done back-to-back all year, and we need to win all 3. So where are we going with this? Did we lose the dressing room? I don't think so. We had a meeting with the chairman. There was a few home truths. And it galvanised the group. We obviously go to Aldershot, get a pen that weren't a pen, scored a pen, win 2-1, and then play Guiseley again in another 6-pointer, beat them 1-0 at home, and then we're going to Welling knowing that a draw should be good enough because everyone had to pick up results and it weren't going to happen. And then we go, first half hour, I'm like, yeah, I'm on it because I'm waiting for that goal to go in. And my assistant manager at the time, Jason Goodham, was like, will you calm down? And I'm like, Goody, I'm involved in it. We go 1-0, we go 2-0, and then we go 3-0 with about 15 to play. And probably like one of the players said in the podcast, for the first time that whole season, I enjoyed 15 minutes of football because I knew that we were safe. And the relief, it wasn't even elation to stay in. You shouldn't be cheering to stay at a level. Do you know what I mean? And I say it loosely, yes, of course. Week in, week out, teams like Bournemouth who are fighting and punching well above their weight. Morecambe. What Jim Bentley done with Morecambe year on year in League Two is fantastic. But, yeah, it was more the relief. The fact that probably that I didn't have to take a game under them circumstances again for a long time. But I could probably enjoy my summer a little bit more. And, yeah, I learned a lot about the level. I learned a lot about myself, and it geared me up for the following year.
And then that following year, obviously the season before, did it sort of change your recruitment style? Because did you think, oh, God, we can't be going through another year where we're last few games, are we going to start, are we not? Did you sort of change your recruitment, who you're going to bring in?
Recruitment was massive because now we was a full-time team. We done 3 mornings. So we started that first year as a Tuesday, Thursday club. We then reverted to a Monday, Thursday, Friday in halfway through after about 15, 16 games. And then we were a side where I'm recruiting players to come in during the day. So I think we was a total different entity, a total different beast. I'd say finishing 11th that year was an unbelievable achievement. Both Junior and Jason Goodliffe were massive in that. And recruitment was a lot easier because you're not established, don't get me wrong. But you'd have another year at it. The development of the pitch and the facilities at the club aid you to sign better players. So yeah, I think there was many factors that allowed us to finish in the top half, and we learned a lot from the previous year.
Obviously, going into the next season, probably the best one in Boreham's history. Not obviously just because of the playoffs, but you done well in the FA Cup as well, beating Blackpool. What was it like, obviously, beating Blackpool in that game that season?
We think 75 years previously that we'd never beat a pro club, and we went to Carlisle. We played Carlisle in 2012, I think it was, and we went to Carlisle away in a replay, and 29 minutes on the clock, we get a pen. I take a pen, scored a pen. Centre, we nick the ball, we drive again, we get another pen. 30 minutes on the clock, so 1 minute after the other, I get another pen. I take the pen, miss the pen. We then go and concede in the 85th minute, and then we go and lose it in the 91st. So I think I owed the club that win against Blackpool, because it could have probably come 6 to 7 years earlier. But beating Blackpool, we were close the year before when we played Notts County. Went 2-0 up, and they scored 2-1, and we should have scored 3-1 straight away, and we missed it, and it went 2 and went to a replay. But the way in which we won the game, we got battered first half, should have been out of sight, should have been 4s and 5 down, without fail, and we weren't. And then we had a bit of the ascendancy, and they had a little go, and then 60 minutes they score. So I think, you know what, Turgut, Holman, on you come. 2 offensive players, and within 4 minutes of Turgut being on the pitch, he scored. And then with 5 to go, Danny Holman scores. So I threw the dice. I got very fortunate in terms of the change. But yeah, again, that was pure emotion after winning that, because that's an achievement. Beating a pro side for the first time is an achievement. Staying in the level, of course, is an achievement. Trust me, I appreciate it, but it's not to be rewarded. Beating Blackpool's to be rewarded. And we were unfortunate against Coventry the game after, because I thought we were excellent. And they were clinical. They were by far, their detail in front of goal was superb. So unfortunate not to get to the 3rd round, which would have been a massive accolade. But to beat Blackpool that year was huge.
And then going on in that season, you obviously finished 4th, and then going into playoffs. We've obviously spoken to a lot of Edge Seat players that were in and around that time, because we obviously got in the playoffs as well as you. And we obviously lost in the semi-finals to Tranmere, and a lot of players blame the setup for it. Sort of, you played on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then you played on a Saturday or a Sunday. You obviously got through that period and won both of the games and got to the final. Did you sort of wish that it had been Edge Seat that had gone through instead of Tranmere, or
against Macca?
Yeah, listen, I would have loved to play against Macca, and seeing one of us being successful, being young managers, starting out in their careers, taking 2 who I think are quite modest clubs within the National League, because you look at Tranmere and see where they are and where they've been, would have been amazing. And to play Macca at Wembley, I don't think anyone, me and him, would be as close as we would be now if that was the case. I'll be honest, because if I'd won, I'm not picking the phone up to him because he thinks I'm gloating. If he had won, let's have it right. My missus, his missus are close. I see Macca. When we start a game of football, he'll tell you, I played against him many a times, it's personal. It's personal, and it has to be. So I'm kind of thankful that didn't happen. On the flip side, it would have been amazing, because a young manager would have got a team that, that would have been an unbelievable achievement, to get an Ebbsfleet, to get a Boreham into the League Two. So, it would have been lovely to have had that scenario. Do I blame the Thursday, Sunday? We had the luxury that we played on a Thursday at home, and then we played Sutton. So we're going an hour and a quarter out our way at 3 o'clock. Ebbsfleet played Aldershot away, extra time and pens, to then go and play Tranmere at 12 o'clock. Yeah. So, listen, unfortunately, the rules. Them the rules. So you could pick gripes and say, yeah, I get it. I do get it. We lost Jamie Turley, Kane Smith and Morgan Ferry in the AFC 5 game. We honestly felt the Sutton game was a game too far, because them 3, for me, that year were colossal. And yes, we had Michael Felibi, and we had Ricky Shakes, and we had Scott Doe, who were all very, very good players. But then I look at that and go, if I had them 3 on the bench and the other 3 starting, I've got more to change it with. But we go to Sutton. The biggest call against Sutton was Mark Ricketts weren't fit. And I said to the physio, along with the Chen, we said, leave him and let him be. We'll do a fitness test there and then. Because I don't care what player he is. I said it from the offset. You do not play 100% fit. And him passing that fitness test was huge. And I alluded to it. If I could bottle that feeling, because I know I got in the car, I drove up then, I got in the car with my best mate and 2 other lads and the analyst, and I could have had 75 car crashes on the way home. I could have could have driven off a cliff. The feeling that I had driving home, I don't honestly believe I'm ever going to have that in football again. Because if I bottle it, that is a potion that any human being would want.
What was it like? Obviously, you had to prepare for Wembley, and obviously Boreham Wood, compared to Tranmere, aren't at the size of Tranmere. What was it like? Obviously, going to Wembley, and then 1 minute in, they're already 10 men down. What are you thinking then?
Nothing changed. People will tell you I've played in teams that played 10 men, and we've won games of football. It does age you. Of course, it does age you. But the mindset is, well, they're just not going to try as hard. They're not going to play as hard. We set up to counter against them because they like to dominate the ball and they play very expansive and they get a high line. We wanted to embrace that, take all that on and then counter because we had the pace of a Bruno Felivi, we had the pace of Shakesy, we had the pace of Vanjo Palanta. So in terms of them 4 or 5 personnel that could break, the game plan switched on his head. And the leading up to it, we galvanised the town. That week was fantastic. Everywhere you went, it was like, good luck, Luke, good luck, this. And people still look at it now. We went there on a Friday to do the tour because I didn't want any players going there on a Saturday. It was going there to do work. We were there to go and work. And I had the best and worst day in football. Right? I walked my 3-year-old out at Wembley as the manager of Boreham Football Club. So as a manager, I've got pictures now that my hair's on the back of my neck's going up because that walking my 3-year-old, I've played at Wembley and I've managed at Wembley. There's not many people that can say that. So that bit, again, edit it like you will do with this podcast, cut it and give me that, I'm over the moon. That 90 minutes, people go, how was Wembley? Rubbish, hated it. Why? Because I lost. I'm not a bridesmaid. I don't want to be a bridesmaid. I want to be that beautiful bride that everyone's looking at and saying, oh, isn't she gorgeous? So for me, Wembley wasn't a day out. Wembley wasn't. I failed. And I use the word I because I could have had more of an impact and implemented a better game plan when that 1 minute went as it did. So do I have hang-ups? And yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Because I think I could have achieved the unthinkable for that club. And for me, did I fail? Yeah, I think I failed. I do. Because I think now I'd do this, this and this. I didn't change my shape until the 75th minute. That's not me. Now I see the game and identify it a lot more. I'd have changed my shape and evolved it a little bit more. Because, no disrespect, they didn't have an overload centre of the park. I didn't need to have that overload. So these are all things that I've learned. And yeah, Wembley was amazing. Brilliant. But you will never hear me say I enjoyed it because I severely didn't after I handed my little boy back to the people to go and enjoy the game with my wife. Because from that minute onwards, I lost the game of football in the final and I don't like being a bridesmaid.
Obviously, you mentioned not changing your shape. Did you feel like the occasion of Wembley was a bit too much for you, or was it just didn't go for you on the day?
No, I don't think. It sounds harsh now. I didn't have the squad. I didn't have the personnel. I had young Fred Burbage, Bradley Satch, Sorba Thomas, who come through the academy, Joe Quigley, Ollie Harfield and Alex Davey. That if I had a Felivi, a Danny Woodard, Sorba Thomas, now you all know Sorba Thomas as the pin-up boy. He's setting for me the National League of Light at the minute. He's doing ever so well. He wasn't that kid. So I could call upon him for 10, 15 minutes. If I had the Sorba Thomas now, then he'd have been on the pitch after 55 minutes. So I'm not being, my recruitment wasn't good enough in season. Fact, you look at what we achieved this year with our in-season recruitment, total different level to what it was then. Because if I had a Matt Reed on the bench and Adam May on the bench, a Justin Shabu, Adi Youssef, a Grant Smith on the bench, then I've got a proper bench going to Wembley. So, like I said, you learn. You have to learn. And that year, first year shaped me, second year shaped me. That year, failure shapes you. It does. It has more of a shaping than success. Because for me, there was an urge to want to go and do it again. I've tasted it. I want it again.
How tough was it after that game? So we've spoken to Keds, and he's had obviously great moments in finals, and obviously he missed a penalty against Maidstone. And was it tough to lift your players after that, especially the Wood goalkeeper? You know, he could have. Does he? You know, with Norwood, he could have maybe saved that. Was it tough to lift your players after that?
He should have saved it. Being Grant, I think he's tried to go around the corners, and I'm not talking out of turn. I think he tried to go around the post. If I'm living it after watching it again, you can parry that out because he's the only lone striker. Do you lift them? I think you console them. I congratulated them because I think what they achieved was fantastic. They played at Wembley, but no disrespect. Again, we lost. So it's hard. I think you're probably going to touch on the following year and we finished 20th. Was there sort of a hang-up, a hangover? Yeah. But again, losing Grant Smith, Jamie Turley goes back to his parent club, Kane Smith does his ACL, Morgan Ferrier goes on to Tranmere, Bruno Andrade goes to Lincoln. We lose Angela Balanta to Dagenham, 10 games in. You're ripped apart. So it's a rebuild. And again, my recruitment wasn't good enough. I brought in personnel that I thought were good. And them didn't deliver. And we had a season that was uncertain. After 24 games, I think it was, we were 7th. We went to Sutton and we won 4-0. And everything we touched turned to gold. And I remember a manager ringing me going, "How have you done it? You've gone and improved on Morgan and Bruno because that night we were outstanding on the Astro. We're good on the Astro. And then we lose Rico, we lose Amira through injuries. Angelo Balanta obviously goes to Dagenham. So our threat sort of up front dissolves to an extent and we just literally hit a decline. And you're trying to find an energy and a purpose to it, and we didn't find it. Luckily enough, even though we finished 20th, I think we were still 9-10 points clear of 21st. So even though you're one place in it, it wasn't comfortable, don't get me wrong. It wasn't the year when we went to Welling. That wasn't suffocating. We always felt that we was in a position where we weren't going to go down. But you want to sort of, there's a stat, I believe, the last 3 clubs or 4 clubs that went to Wembley and were the bridesmaid, the following year went there and got promoted. Tranmere, Forest Green, Grimsby, and I don't know the fourth one. I don't know if there is a fourth, but definitely 3. We could have been the 4th, but unfortunately that year we wasn't.
And then obviously you spoke about the season with the relegation and then the season after that. So this season we just had. I remember when Ebbsfleet played you on the bank holiday. Me and Nathan were there. And we hadn't won a game at that time. And I remember we came there. I think there was a red card early in the game. And, you know, we ended up winning the game 2-1. It wasn't comfortable, but for us, it was a comfortable win. And I remember looking after that going, you know, Boreham Wood are struggling here. And then I look at it now and how you've done this season. Where did it turn?
I think we were performing really well. Performances were good. We went to Torquay initially a sending off after 27 minutes and we were well in the game. And I honestly believed that we would have come away with something minimum. We then play, I think it's Wrexham, and we go 2-0 down and 2-2. And it was a great reaction to give you a lift. We then played Chesterfield with 2-0 up and you go 2-2. Little things weren't going for us. And I'm not saying you need to get the rub of the green. You have to as a team. The performances were good and we had to hone in on that. Even though I think we only picked up 9 points out of the first 8 or whatever it was still honing in on doing the good things because fundamentally, if you're going to continue with that, the performance will be married up with the results. I was playing a system, 3-5-2 as we do. I changed slightly the personnel. I had a good conversation with the chairman initially. A few home truths on both sides. We have an unbelievable relationship. Love the man. What he's done for me, my family, and that football club is outstanding. And we had a home truths meeting in September, October time, and it was very much put all the cards on the table. This is where we're at, where we're going with it. And he gave me a little G up. You're not the one where they give the board give you the backing and 2 weeks later they sack you. He gave me a proper backing, and we went on an unbelievable run. Unbelievable run. We changed the personnel at half time against Yeovil. We were getting peppered, and I made a change. Brought Justin Shabu, who was fantastic for me. Brought him in on the point, and I think in his 12 games, so we went 12 games with him in the team. He scored 6 and set up 6, and we were just a different beast. He then got injured and was out for about 6 to 7 games, but we lost 1 game in 19. No, I think even maybe 20, and that catapulted us up to the level. But it wasn't like we were poor and weren't picking up the results. Performances were very good, and it was just then, like you said, did you pick them up after the Wembley year? I had to keep picking them up. I had to keep showing them the positives of what we're doing on a weekly basis on the analyst sessions. So, yeah, our in-season was magnificent. Who knows where this could have went, because we lost 1 in 20. I think Harrogate were second in the form guide. We had the best away record in the whole division. We were 3rd best defensive record. There was a lot of accolades that we got. One of your boys, Nathan Ashmore, was a massive introduction to us, and to get him, the chairman's done. It's daylight robbery what we got Ashmore for, considering. So the business the chairman done on that was fantastic. He was massive to us, absolutely massive to us. The best goalkeeper I've ever worked with by a countryman.
Obviously, you mentioned your recruitment of Ashmore. How important has your recruitment been this year? Because obviously, one of the Shamanga, I think his name is. He obviously came from Oxford City. I remember watching that FA Cup game against Tranmere where he absolutely smashed it. For you to pick him up, that was a massive signing.
Listen, recruitment, coaches will tell you that recruitment. If you don't get your recruitment right, in my opinion, this is how I believe it, as a manager, as a coach, if you don't get your recruitment right, it doesn't matter how good you are on the training grid. Yes, you can improve people. Of course you can. The amount of contact time you get, 100% it will improve the group, the individual. But for me, if you're working with a better calibre of personnel, then your level of coaching goes up. And I honestly believe recruitment's massive. And we tasked, myself, the CEO and the chairman, ourselves, to bring in 6 or 7 of real quality. And I honestly believe we did that. And the likes of Tyrone Marsh, we were lucky on that. Very lucky that Macclesfield paid him up and we made up the difference. Cabs, we courted Cabs. There was a couple of clubs with Cabs that wanted to bring him in pre-season. Probably didn't see enough and wanted to confirm that he is the real deal. We bought him in, we committed to him, and he bought into it. Adam McDonald, another kid, 21, who's played 100 games in the National League. Pierre Mongoya, I have a great relationship with him because he's a family friend. So bringing that sort of calibre of personnel in is massive. To do Nathan Ashmore in October, like I said to you, Wembley year, we didn't do enough of in-season. Our start of the season was fantastic. My in-season was poor. This year, Matt Reed, Adi Youssef, Adam May, Justin Shabu, Grant Smith, 5 lads there that we've bought in season, which is massive. Absolutely outstanding. So, again, 1 loss in 20, playing against the informed teams and winning. The Yeovils at home, the Barrows at home, and Harrogate's at home. Who knows? We could have absolutely had a beast for the last 9. Couldn't have won a game. But we was in a good place. And I think that's fundamentally what you do as a manager. You tick things along. And if you're in a good place, don't rock the boat. Just continue it, tick it along nicely, add to it when you think you need to. But for me, our recruitment as a club was fantastic.
And now, obviously, we know the season's ended. Obviously, we don't know how long this is going to last for. Where do you stand on, obviously, their contracts that expire very soon, and who you're going to bring in next season?
So contracts are currently already. So we're very much a 38 or 40 week contract. So we've got boys that have already expired and they've gone. We offered them deals, and unfortunately for them and us, they declined and think that they may go and get an offers elsewhere, which is totally acceptable. We've currently got 10 in the building that are on contracts for next year. A handful of them are on for the year after. With regards to moving forward, for me, I've had loads of calls. I've had people that I like in terms of players, but I haven't picked the phone up. They've picked the phone up to me, and it's very much, yeah, I like him. I think he's good, but until I know where we're at as a football club and a league, I can't progress with any conversations. Keeping the 10 engaged at the minute. So programs, they've had a 6-week program, then they had the additional 2-week program. Now they've got a 2-week off program because fundamentally they would be off at this period. As and when we know when the new season's to start, if the playoffs was to resurrect, then for me, we've put things in place. So we've got outcomes for all scenarios. So we've been proactive. The minute we know sort of it's going to start this date, that date, or whatever, we've got a plan in action. But until then, it's very much, hold the pause button on the first team.
I've always wondered this. Obviously, like, as you and Daryl are both young, promising managers in non-league, how many opportunities have you had to sort of maybe look at EFL clubs to move on from Boreham Wood?
Eventually, my job's Boreham Wood, and I've got one aim, and that's to get Boreham Wood into the EFL. Like any player, what you deliver on a Saturday in 90 minutes for consistent time over the course of a season, EFL clubs, the Premier, they may come calling. As a manager, for me, I need to prepare Boreham Football Club. How that looks then depends on if anyone wants to come and knock on the door and speak to my chairman. Until that happens, I can't affect that. I can affect that by being a good manager, by delivering what I can deliver on the training field, on the sideline to win games of football. Of course, my stats can improve. But yeah, listen, I have an ambition. I want to be a manager by 35. That was always my ambition, being a 30-year-old. But I'm doing that to give me a target, to give me something to aim for. Is it realistic? Who knows? I could have been that manager at 35, taking Boreham Wood to Wembley and being the bride as opposed to the bridesmaid this year. And I would have been that EFL manager at 35. So, yeah, I have ambitions, as does anyone and any individual. But I'm very respectful for the club I work for. And fundamentally, yeah, I'm doing a job for them. And the aim is to get them into the EFL.
Last question before we go into your best 11. Obviously, you've played and managed Boreham Wood for such a long time, and the Boreham Wood which you signed for, and the Boreham Wood now, obviously with the stadium, the pitch, the players, what league you're in. How proud of you to be a part of the growth of Boreham Wood Football Club from where it was in the 7th tier to what it is now in the 5th tier, and obviously pushing for the Football League.
So what you said there, proud. Honestly, I love going to work every day. Obviously, prior to this pandemic, I've seen the club go, and the chairman, you alluded to it, small steps. I've seen year-on-year progressions. I remember we used to have a tin shed on the opposite side where the West Stand is, and now that houses 1,000 people seated. It's for me, it's an impressive stand. The pitch was a massive, massive part of, I believe, us getting into Wembley, because it was enabling me to bring the better personnel into the building because they want to play on a better pitch. Then you had the North Stand this year, and then you had the facility in terms of the change room this year. It's no surprise we put the new facility in terms of the Astro, and we put the new facility in terms of the pitch 2 years ago. We bring a better calibre of personnel into the club. We go to Wembley. It's no surprise this year we put the North Stand, North Bank, and then we put the new facility in terms of the changing room. When I'm walking Tyrone Marsh around the club and I walk him out to the stand and he sees that terrace in there, the lush pitch and the West Stand, then I walk him into the dressing room. He wants to be a part of it. So there's no surprise. Being the toilet cleaner when I went there as a 21-year-old coach, to then being the head coach, to then the academy manager, to the assistant manager, and to now the manager, the growth has been fantastic. And for me, we do an audit on ourselves. We're already a cap free because of the facilities we have, the gym, the analyst suites, the changing rooms, the training facilities, the pitch. So yeah, you wouldn't have said that probably 10 years ago when we was in the 7th tier, for sure.
Do you want to go for your best 11?
So, combination of managing and playing. I'm going to say it was tough to an extent, but Ashmore for me, nailed on, number one. I played with some unbelievable goalkeepers. Reece Evans at Swindon. Andy Little at AFC. Wes Foderingham at Boreham Wood, who's at Rangers. So, but I just think managing Ashmore, the sort of mannerisms he has as a bloke, as a family man, and as a player, he's nailed on. I'm a 3-5-2 as per my managerial style. I've got Tom Champ, right side centre half. I think I was best mates with Champ at school, come through East Barnet together, played in the district together, played in the Middlesex together. Obviously parted ways when I went away and he went away and played football. We come back now. And as an extension to my management team, he's a top bloke, coaches within our academy and an unbelievable pro. So with regards to him, he's nailed in at right side centre half. I've got my skipper, Jason Goodliff, was my assistant manager for 18 months. I won 2 promotions with Goody at AFC Wimbledon, played alongside him in a back 4. And yeah, he'd get you out the proverbial. He'd be there when you had a bit of trouble. And for me, a leader. And what he's achieved in the game is fantastic. Left side, he's probably not a centre-half by trade, but my 3 midfielders, he ain't getting in. I want him in the team. Jake LaBelle was obviously at Dover as assistant manager, won the league with Dagenham, played heavily at Dagenham, Margate when they was in the Conference Prem a few years ago. But him and Goody were a massive part of the achievements at AFC Wimbledon. They were leaders, they were men. So, yeah, I need them in the team. My right wing back, Kane Smith, all day long. He's, it's, again, no surprise. In the first year we got him, we go to Wembley. In the second year we lose him for an ACL, we finished 20th. And in the third year, being this year, we're back into 5th. And he plays a massive part. He makes our system work superbly. Again, he's a top guy. Comes from good stock. And I love the relationship between Tom Champ and Kane Smith down that right-hand channel. Left wing back, Chris Hussey, currently now at Cheltenham. Played with Hussey at AFC Wimbledon, got to move to Coventry from AFC Wimbledon. Again, in that shape in a 3-5-2 would be outstanding. He's a left-footed Kane Smith. He ain't the brightest tool in the box. Brightest button, sorry, or the sharpest tool in the box. But yeah, good player, good person, and would make the system superb. I'm going to have to throw him in. James Milner. Played with him. I hate doing that. I've got to be honest. He's only won a Champions League and a Prem. But he come on loan to Swindon. So I played about 4 to 5 games with him. Honestly, outstanding. Outstanding what he could do with a football. His brain, his willingness. And you look at him now, he keeps getting year after year contracts at Liverpool because he's such an honest pro. So he goes in. My mate, Macca, Darryl McMahon, got to go in, centre midfielder. If not for the amount he can drink alone, but his ability. And he's just a top bloke. I'm looking at that group. I've got to be honest, it'd be good to get on a minibus with them and go to an away game because not one of them is not a top fella. Macca, ability outrageous, frightening, and as a bloke, top draw. On the point, Andrew Blanta. He is best, I'm going to say one of the best I've ever worked with by a country mile. And I speak to managers that had the luxury of working with him when they was at QPR, MK Dons, and it was like, what he can do, he should be playing in the Prem. And for whatever reason he didn't, for me, he is, again, another lovely fella. Got a beautiful partner, 2 beautiful kids. A top fella. Unbelievable pro. Great ability. So I've got to be honest, that ain't a bad midfield. My strikers are going to leave the one I want last. Bruno Andrade goes in, 27 goals in the Wembley year. Cheeky chappy. And what he's achieving currently, went on to Lincoln and then obviously on to Salford. Love the guy, speak to him still now. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's done fantastic in his career. And yeah, he can do anything. So again, him. And the main man, John Main. John Main, AFC, what he achieved there, Tunbridge alone. I remember we played Tunbridge before we played AFC Wimbledon. AFC Wimbledon played Tunbridge before we signed Maney. And Brownie comes in and says to us lot, you can't tackle Maney. We've just signed him. We've just signed the paperwork. He's playing tonight, but you can't tackle him. So Jason Goodliff's going, No, gaffer, that ain't what it's about. So we go 2-0 up. He then comes in, rounds him, puts one in the bottom bin. Then about 3 minutes later, does the same thing. Then he goes to do the third time. Jason Goodliffe goes, F that, and lifts him up, smashes him, and puts him into the hoarding board. And you hear Brownie going, Goody! And you're thinking, Brownie, he's just going to score a hat-trick against us. But his goal return for Tunbridge AFC is fantastic. And again, talk to him now. Love the fella. So that's my 1 to 11.
If you'd have to pick a manager from your playing days, what manager would you have managing that team?
Andy King, because he gave me my debut in the EFL, and I've got to say, he won a European Cup, FA Cup, and the First Division. His knowledge and understanding was outstanding, and not only that, again, he was just a down to earth guy. And for me, yeah, you'd want to play for him, which I liked. You want to play for Andy King. He'd big you up, gear you up for a game. So yeah, Andy King would be my gaffer.
Before you go, we ask all our guests here the final question. What is the best moment in your career so far?
Starting away for sure. In terms of a manager, like I said, you bottle that, you're selling that for a lot of money.
Obviously, big thanks for coming on, Luke. If you get if you get Nathan next year, take care of him.
We will.
And good luck with the wood.
Absolute pleasure, lads. Lovely to chat to you.
Big thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Pleasure, boys. Be safe. See you later.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Bye-bye.